So here at the Socially Used Studio, after every shoot, we sit around in the control room and we talk about what went good, what went bad, and what we could do better in the future. And we realized that we should probably record these things so we can actually remember what we said. And then we realized that this could possibly be good content for the people who view our channel. So come along with us as we learn, grow, and fail, and maybe you can learn something as we learn too. Welcome to The Debrief.
Hey, we just finished yesterday recording Auntie Anne. So if you've ever eaten at a Auntie Anne pretzels, we had Auntie Anne come into the studio. And so it's pretty awesome. I have a little thing about her website here that I could show. And let me see. Yeah, there we go. So this is Anne. We were super pumped to have her come to the studio. This is her second time in the studio, and she has an absolutely amazing life story. And she was doing a bunch of content on leadership principles. And so this is a little bit about her. You can see more on her website, which is just Auntie Anne Beiler, is that right? .com. And so there you can see that. Let me talk to you a little bit about the setup, and then we'll kind of open this up to have a conversation. So just quickly, this is a 3-camera shoot that we did. We used an Gazebo for a sliding shot. This was a virtual set done in Unreal Engine. We had a wide shot that was kind of off to the side, and then a main shot that was just kind of a close-up of the desk and her, just kind of a tight shot of her head and shoulders in mid-torso. We had a couple of lights that we're using to accent both rim lighting and kind of accentuate a sunlight kind of look. So you can see that here. We have our 4 TVs there that we could display whatever we wanted to on those. This Mega Light Cloth, this is from a company called IntelliTech. Look at that iPhone. That's light in the background. But then these other 2 IntelliTechs we'll talk about in a minute. We kind of rigged all this up on a combo stand. So we'll walk you through a little bit about that here in a minute as well. So that's a little bit about kind of what that looked like. And then the end result is this. So especially if I can click a button to make it where she's not half closed eyes. All right. So that's the shot. This is an Unreal Engine set that we did some small adjustments to. So there you can kind of see what that looks like. And here is what that side angle that's kind of a wide shot looks like. And then lastly, we did a punch. Sorry, we did a punch on that as well. So I'll just show that. So that's just in ATEM punch that we did for her on that one. And my mouse is on the wrong screen. So there we go. And then lastly, here is just this side angle shot. In this shot, we had a moving shot. So it's tracking and moving the background. It's kind of getting started here. But there it'll kind of go. Let's see, here we go. So then that's the move that we had. So we just had a subtle, smooth move that was kind of going left to right all the day long. And so those were the 3 shots we had. Again, this is what that setup looked like. So so I wanted to start off with what I'm terming the IntelliTech Giga Light Cloth, which is, since we have thanks for laughing. So what we did here is we took 2 IntelliTech Mega Light Cloths, put them together, rigged it up on a C-stand or on a combo stand, and then put a 8-foot by 8-foot scrim gem in front of it. So Tyler, why don't you talk a little bit about that setup and what we were doing there?
Well, when we initially set it up, we had the lights closer to the scrim, and it wasn't illuminating the whole thing. So, I mean, we just used C-stand arms to make that whole contraption. I looked at, well, maybe I need to create some different fittings and stuff out of the ones we had, but I ended up not having to. So we just figured out how to configure the C-stand arms, and yeah. So the red line there is how far we ended up having to have those back in order to light the entire scrim. When we had them too close, there was kind of a border that was too dark, so we moved them back. Yeah.
We also ended up taking we've typically been double diffusing the IntelliTechs, but because we had this backed up so much, that was just dropping off too much. This is 1 1/4 stop on the scrim gem there. So,
and then you can see on the side on some of the shots, those things are so bright when they're not covered with the diffuser with their own scrim.
Yeah.
It was throwing a tremendous amount of light just at everybody that walked in the door. So he ended up having to put I tried putting a diffuser there. I hung that up, and then somebody hung
That's me.
black cloth on it.
Well,
'cause we had to just knock it all out.
Right. Yeah. I put the black cloth on top of it because I don't know if this was true, but I was worried about it reflecting on the TVs. So
Yeah, it would have.
on that side, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I need to do that. So if I just fast forward a little bit. So I was worried that there'd be a reflection there. So I just put that black cloth since we essentially created a big white light on that side because we hung that diffusion there.
And having it on the combo stand was great because we could make those little adjustments of, well, move it 3 inches this way or a foot back, and then the whole rig would go with it. We wouldn't have to, because in the past we've had everything mounted from the
ceiling.
speed rail, and so every time we had to move all that, all the little bits and pieces to get that same effect.
Yeah, so this was a little dream of mine of like, oh man, is there a way we can just have a thing that we can just easily move in and out? Because sometimes, it seems silly, but moving a light source 3 inches closer can really make a huge difference. So anyway, way to go figuring out all the contraption-y parts to do this. It's a couple of C-stand arms, and I love the side. Didn't you do something on this side angle, or sorry, on the horizontal C-stand arm? Didn't you do, like, it's got these two, didn't you kind of make this, fabricate this or something?
Well, I ended up not having to do that. But I was thinking, oh man, I need to take apart one of these, what do they call them? Grid clamps. Not grid clamps, what do they call them? We call them knuckles anyway.
Yeah.
I had to take one of those and have a double, with the handles. It's hard to explain if you don't know what I'm talking about. But I ended up not having to. I found a way to make it where I didn't have to take anything apart, thankfully. But it had to go through the whole process of trying to figure it out before I was like, well, duh.
It does look like you took, if I look at the screen here, though, it does look like you took on the right side, there's not a hand to screw it down. So I guess you took something apart and hooked it on and then screwed it in, a grip head or something. I don't know. Anyway, we got a C-stand arm with 2 grip heads kind of connected in, and you used some sort of bolt contraption to really hold it down.
I can tell you what he did. I remember it specifically.
What was that? What did you kids say?
So what you're looking at here is on the left side, there is there is a grip piece, but it's where the tightening mechanism on either side is still there. But what you did, Tyler, is you wanted it to be at the end and it being fixed on both sides. So you took one of the. Oh wait, am I lying now? Because maybe that was what you were doing.
No,
you were taking
figured out eventually that if I just cranked that.
Okay, so you didn't have to use a bolt and a wrench like we were initially going to.
No, but I did put the pliers on that.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you call it.
The grip head.
Yeah, the grip head. Yeah. On the non-handle side, it's got the small handle where the thing passes through the thing, and you turn that really hard.
I tell you what was difficult for this was
really hard.
Balance was difficult. It took a few times to get it to like finally like not tilt one way or the other, and that was just you sort of like sliding it and trying a bunch of different things.
Yeah. So there's probably a more elegant way to do it, but we'll refine it. But I think y'all were talking about needing maybe having the lights closer to the scrim, or maybe even lighting it with some lights further back, like an area or something. If we could get one of those.
Does that work? Yes. Okay, sorry, I went and got my iPad. Yeah, so this guy right here does not have the little grip on it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we put this in. I ran away and got my iPad real quick. But yeah, okay, great. So we did that. It worked out really well. I think we'll continue to do some refinements, but overall, having the ability to move that really quickly and easily was pretty great. Hey, let's talk about food. We had Emma. Let's talk about food for a second. You had a new surprise for us this morning. This is a shout out.
Shout out to Bread and Butter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we usually go to a different bakery, but they were closed that morning, and so we went to a new bakery, and they had a bunch of goodies. The most delicious cinnamon roll. Probably 2,000 calories full of sugar, butter, and carbs, but we loved every minute of it.
Don't worry about the details.
Yeah, those don't matter.
And yeah, because it's Auntie Anne. It's like we had to
go
do something
hard.
awesome. We didn't do any pretzels.
No pretzels.
But you did do one other thing. What was the other thing that you did?
So Andre has one of her cookbooks, and so I guess like the night before he was going through and seeing what the most simple recipe we could make in our little toaster.
Yeah.
So we made chocolate chip grahams,
Yeah.
4 easy ingredients, 4 easy steps, and she loved it. And
Amazing.
she hasn't had them in years, and
Yeah.
she said that they were like one of the best.
Yeah,
I mean,
she
I
said
don't
it
know
was
if she was
cooked
just
right.
I don't know
No,
if she was just saying that. But
I think she meant it because I walked in on her telling Gentry like, "Oh, these are they cooked these perfectly," which was kind of ironic considering the way we cooked them. But
yeah,
we got there.
That was a
we
nice
don't have
little
an oven.
surprise.
We don't have an oven here, so we used a toaster oven, and it seemed like it was excelling at the word toast.
Yes.
On it, but we got it. Yeah, so way to go. That was really cool, and it was that's a fun way to very personalized. I did realize later, I'm like, this is really risky. Like if we did a bad job or
Yeah.
it tasted bad, she'd be like, oh, cool. But I think even that way, I think she would be, flattered by
Yeah.
that.
At least it was thoughtful.
And now she's sending me one of her cookbooks. So,
Nice.
And it's
That's
signed. So
Nice. Come
shout
on.
out to Anne.
Come on. Hey, I wanted to show you just a quick behind the scenes of when the client arrives. One of the things we do is Emma, you do a great job of kind of greeting them, bringing them into the green room, having everything set down. After that, we were kind of orienting Anne to what was going on. And so here's me talking about something. But I just want to kind of show kind of behind the scenes. We're introducing each person kind of as we go. And we have a little trick where we have most of our photos that we've had some new staff that don't have photos yet on the mirror, but we have our photos with our name underneath it. But we're slowly kind of introducing her to the team, talking a little, introducing a new person, bringing that in. So I just wanted to kind of show, we're just kind of getting to know, and she's staring at, Morgan, can you cut to the behind this? Yeah, this. So she's looking at the wall, this wall of all this stuff. So she's kind of standing up here, looking at this, seeing her set in this scenario on that. Thanks. Of kind of showing that. So we're able to see she's kind of admiring it. She's starting to see like, oh, this is what's going to happen. And then she's also getting a little attention from us of what she can expect during the day as well.
One thing, Andre, you've
Yep.
talked about, it's interesting. I think we had kind of a little bit of a debate at the beginning was it better to let them see the set in the virtual set first rather than going into the green screen? She'd been in the green screen room. But for people, but for people who haven't been in the green screen volume, it's like it's better for them to see it on the screen first and realize, oh, this is going to look amazing. And then when they go in there, they're like, well, because if they see the green screen first, it's like it's harder to imagine.
Right.
I'm going to look like weird sitting in front of this
Right.
green wall,
Yeah, absolutely. So this is Bree, not our normal makeup artist, Chris, but Chris was out of town, so Bree came in. She did a fantastic job with that. It was fun watching them also hang out in the green room. They brought, was it her granddaughter as well? So there was some time spent just hanging out in the green room and talking. Okay, I wanted to hop real quick into Jay. I noticed something you were doing that I thought was really cool is you kind of are developing this new, I'm noticing you do this more, where at first I think you were standing a lot and talking to the client and kind of directing them. But I see now, Morgan and I were calling it the server move, of like, Morgan's like, yeah, it's like the server coming in and kind of crouching down and kind of getting more, even maybe below eye level a little bit. Talk a little bit about what that experience was like of directing her and talking to her.
My feet were just tired. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I think it's just more of getting on their level, and it feels less like you're being talked down to or being talked at, and it's more like now I'm engaging them in like a full-on conversation. So my goal in directing is to help them get the best out of the talent level that they have, but in reality, my goal is to make them feel as comfortable as possible. So I want her to understand that I'm in there trying to help her feel comfortable and trying to get a really good product. So just I started doing that with people just to get down and try to try to just like get on their level and make them feel like, oh, hey, by the way, you don't have to have a perfect take every single time. We're here to help you. And it just becomes more personal than as if I was standing off in the distance and I was kind of saying something. Or like a lot of the times, like we'll be in here and we'll be like, hey, I think we need to say this. And I'll be like, I'll go to press, like talk to her over the speaker. And then I'm like, nope, you know what? It just makes more sense if I go in there because it's a one-on-one situation and it's just her and I talking. So she feels like she's talking to a friend instead of a director. And that just comes across.
Well, and that's what I put underneath kind of my little titles on my little slides.
Nice.
Let me know if y'all like us.
These are great.
Yeah. Had a little extra time today. Like I can circle it and be like, well, the quarterback, I don't know anything about sports. But
that is a quarter of my back.
Yeah,
You just circled,
there it is right here. Here's the quarterback. But you are putting her at ease. And you can see, I watched her demeanor change. Now, I will say, with that said, it did seem like, from my perspective, doing some other things, I was like, wait, are we still needing to talk to her? So talk a little bit. It felt a little longer on this shoot. So talk a little bit about that.
She felt a little bit more needy isn't the right word.
But go full screen.
She was, bring it in.
Yeah, sorry.
Everybody see this. She's a great public speaker. And luckily, like when I was in there, like Tyler, he heard me because he's listening to programs. So he like texted me and was like, hey, she's a great public speaker. So I kind of honed in on that. But yeah, she was just a little bit more nervous. And I think everybody comes in here nervous, but this is for a really good cause and a really cool project. And her story means a lot to her. So I could feel that she really cared and really wanted this to be a good product. And she just kept asking questions. And I just kept answering them, even though that like literally they could be the same question like 10 times. I kept giving her different or like similar answers, but in different ways, because I could just tell that she was wrapping her mind around what I was trying to get her to do.
Right.
And then after a while, it just started to click for her.
I love that.
She finally started to like, that's when she got more comfortable. And I started to see her smile more. It went from like, oh, I'm working to, oh, this actually is kind of fun. And this studio's really dope. And I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I was trying to ease her into. So I felt like it went pretty well.
Yeah, way to go.
Thanks.
Cami, talk about teleprompter. So you were running teleprompter. What was that experience like today versus other clients?
I think because usually when I run teleprompter, it's not like heavily scripted as these were. These were so dense and thick, like word for word. I mean, she would barely ad-lib a little bit, but it was mainly just...
Was that you?
That was me. So sorry. Literally thought I was far enough away from the microphone. I just chugged water. I apologize, Cami. Continue.
You're good. It was mainly just like, since I was running teleprompter, I was on it all day. Like, I sat there whenever, like, she did not take a break. Like, she took like a couple of breaks, but like
she skipped lunch and she was ready.
She skipped lunch. She didn't eat breakfast. Like, she was a machine, which she was great talent. But it was just really difficult because I'm over here and I'm like, I can't keep my eyes open.
Yeah, way to go. Yeah, that was a lot. It was a whole lot. She was really cranking through it. And hey, by the way, Cami is sitting, and I've got a little graphic here, our new comm station. So what we've done on this back row of recliners is we've realized our clients are sometimes yelling like, tell them blah, blah, blah. And so we're like, we got to get this set up. So part of what we've done is we've got a sweet little station there. So way to go, Cami. Thanks for sitting in that
and
today.
a sick recliner, too.
It is.
Pretty sweet.
And Gentry, who a lot of you guys saw on camera a minute ago, is Anne's assistant. So he was sitting back there, and he would have opinions about things he wanted changed. So, and we kind of like took what we is PL or the production line. We kind of like took that away from the guests. So that's like kind of our communication as a studio, and they don't hear that. But he was chiming in to me, and we were marking things that he thought she was putting weird emphasis on or something like that. So he would hit like, okay, we need to mark that. Here's the words. And in my Notion note list, I was able to mark that. And then we would go back, and Cami did a really good job working with him on, he would just come down and be like, okay, Cami, let's retype this let's make this different. And
it was a really good system as well, because if he had his laptop or something up here and I've noticed sometimes with clients if they're like that, but like they need to like take over the whole spot to work with teleprompter to change the script, or they're like they sigh, they take their whole setup, move over there and set up. This way he can just sit here, talk, whatever. Yeah, that looks great, and move on. Like it wasn't like a big sore that they had.
I think that's cool because we've created a really cool place, and we've talked about this. It was why the comm system is so awesome. It's why we're all wearing our headphones and doing it now. It's like whenever it gets loud in here. So that has been and there's another million reasons as to why we have the comm system. But this gave him, who was the client, basically a captain's chair.
Yes.
And so I think that made him feel extra important. And then also I think it was more enjoyable because he was able to be in on the production, and he could also, you can see in the top left, he can speak downstage. So he could also talk to Anne. So
Right. Yeah. And just two things about this. Can you cut back over full screen to the spy cam behind here to show the whole thing, the room again, Morgan? Thanks, dude. So, we're all sitting at these stations, and we have these monitors, these studio monitors that are kind of up here and here, and the room had been filled with sound of the people talking. But now, because everyone has this individual mix where they can go in and control the volume of, whichever thing they're trying to listen to over here on this Stream Deck. What's this called? Stream Deck Plus. So we've got a Stream Deck Plus at each station. They're able to control that. And then I thought it was genius. This isn't his setup for the guest because it has PL, but great decision to not give him PL, because that made it super awesome for us to say things that weren't necessarily like secret, but there's no reason to bring attention to the client, where before it would have to be like, hey, Jay, look at the upper left. There's a problem over there. Now I can just be like, Jay, there's a problem on the thing, And so I love that. He did notice like, hey, yeah, I'm not really hearing everything you say. And I just was like, oh, yeah, that's just us talking through it's just nerd talk. It's just nerd. So just really played it down and moved on. And we're not being secretive, but it was just so helpful to be able to have the ability to have private team conversations. That worked really well. So comm system, again, guys, is super cool. And soon we will make a video talking more about that, I promise.
And look at those really cool icons.
Yeah, look at those icons.
Yeah, Isaac has been going ham on making those because they were cool back in, and they just kind of had like, generic ones. But Isaac, my favorite one is IFB because it has the little like headphone thing in there. And then,
love it.
Yeah, all that looks really
So Emma, Auntie Anne's voice started failing. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about what you did there.
So we decided to get, is it called a nebulizer?
Nebulizer.
Nebulizer. So I went and got a nebulizer so that she could sit and steam her throat for like 15 minutes to kind of soften or I don't know, get things going,
loosen it
I guess.
all up and,
so I went out and got that for her, and she said it actually helped quite a bit. And so we let her just take it home because her mouth's been all over it. So she took it home with her and said that she'll maybe start using it. And it's something that's been happening for a while now. Yeah. And so they're pretty used to it. But we thought it might help with her voice because it was kind of giving out a little bit. So she
loved it.
She said, I heard her use the word in answer to her prayer. Because she's like, I've been struggling with this, and this has been difficult. And then whenever she was like, whenever we were talking after, those are when I heard her say those words, because she was feeling a lot better about how she was sounding and how it felt in general.
Yeah, I think it helped a lot, and I think we all could tell a difference, and I think she could also tell a difference too. So I think that was helpful.
Yeah, it's not like it instantly solved it, but it definitely, I think if we had not done that, I don't think she would have made it.
Oh, yeah, because I think she took a break like pretty earlier on in the day before lunch. So I can only imagine, because she filmed until 5 o'clock. So I think without that, her voice would have been a little bit more gone.
So essentially, this is like an intense vaporizer where you just are putting your face in it, and it's just putting out hot mist, steam, really, on her face. So anyway, that we had a guy in here that's a musician, musical artist, and he had that. And
he's an international recording artist.
And so we had him in here, and he mentioned that to me, and he was using it, and I was like, oh, okay, but we've never used it. But yeah, so we went and did that. So that's awesome.
I think we were talking about having 2 or 3 of those on hand.
So I got Emma to get at least one more.
We got an extra.
Yeah, we
just
got an
in
extra.
case.
Because we're going to, if anyone else uses this, we're not going to try to clean this and we're just going to give it to them. as they do it. Okay, so Isaac, you started working through some issues around notes. So in this, we did have a lot more pickups. So talk a little bit about that, and then I can bring up what the solution was we think that we've found to kind of help with that.
Yeah. So with pickups, right now it goes into a Notion document, and it kind of just has timestamps that we write down for the time of the video. And that's fine, like, to go through, but the annoying part is then, Final Cut or any editing program, but we're still kind of on Final Cut for most sort of things, taking up most of your screen. Like, you can't really side by side with those notes in a reasonable way unless you're a 2-monitor person, and even still, then you have to kind of back and forth a lot. So I'm like, well, maybe there's some way we can kind of import these as markers. Like, surely somebody has done this before, and I came across this program online called Marker Toolbox, and it seemed like super interesting, that it was like, oh, cool, it can take markers in from Vimeo system, whatever, and then build them in. But then also it can take stuff from emails, and you can run it through, basically they'll send OpenAI to GPT. You have to pay for GPT yourself, obviously, but it'll send it in and spit out more cleaned up time codes. So you can kind of see on there, it's like, hey, these are our great things. Like, here's all the things we want at this part and this part, and it'll kind of integrate it into a thing. You just drag and drop it, and all of a sudden you've got markers in on your timeline of exactly where you need to make all your edits. So it meant that basically I could just download the document off of Notion, copy and paste it in, and then when it came time to edit it, it's just like, well, I'm going here and here. And there's still more we want to experiment here. We use Otter to transcribe our videos. We're like, okay, well, can we use some sort of thing to transcribe our videos? Here's the difference between local and GPT, kind of showing you how it cleans up. But I mean, man, it does it pretty impressively. But yeah, we're trying to figure out, okay, well, what can we do to kind of take the transcript of the video? Because a lot of times they mess up, they flub a line, they say, I need to start over. And it's like, well, you now know after it's happened. So you need a way to find out before when was the word they said. So if we can come up with a system that'll kind of take the transcript in and sort of look at when did they start the word that we're doing the pickup for, then that will be the magic that makes us just be able to just speed through editing videos like this in the future.
Love it. Yeah, so stay tuned. And you already did have a piece of feedback, so if the Marker Toolbox, some person or team ends up watching this, what was your feedback about live editing the results?
Oh, yeah. So I want to be able to edit those results on the right, because sometimes I can look on the left and go, that's not quite what it is. What are you? You're circling.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah, those. And be like, oh, wait, no, that's not what it says. It needs to say something else. And so I want to be able to kind of click in on there and go, oh, that cut should say this.
Edited it.
Yeah. Because then because they're harder to edit once you're in Final Cut, the way it imports. So if I could just edit it in here real fast, then that would be super useful.
Awesome. Hey, Tyler, so something I want to throw your way, and I'm really also bringing this up so that other people can tell us some thoughts. So, again, you're not really doing that in this picture, but it just reminded me that a challenge we have is we're using these Sockler pedestals. We've got these Video 14 fluid heads, and then we've got a teleprompter on top of that. And this probably is about at its lowest position. You're messing with something else right now in this video, but talk about our challenge. And I want to throw it out there of saying, like, these are the needs we have, this pedestal, tripod, wheels, and low to the ground. But talk about that. I'm just throwing that out there in case somebody has a solution.
Yeah, really. We have looked at this and looked at this. Yeah. Now, when we first started in the studio, we had Manfrotto tripods that were just basically photography tripods, and they were relatively easy to lower and raise up. Mm-hmm. But I mean, relatively easy when you had a little SLR. But when you go to these bigger rigs, it's like, okay, so then you got the Socklers with the gas tripod or the gas cylinder, which makes it's great when the adjustment is from here to here. But man, you can't go any lower. There's a minimum height for all the ones I've looked at because of the cylinder.
Right.
And so then we end up having to go to a heavier, it's prompter people tripod, and then we can get that one pretty darn low.
We can spread it, but now we don't have any pneumatic capabilities to raise it.
It takes two of us at a time.
It takes two of us to raise that whole rig.
Right. Yeah.
I have a design for an arm on a robot, a mobile robot. But we don't have $20,000 for each camera.
Sure.
I don't know what the solution is. We're just thinking about it. It's almost like it needs to be in a teeny tiny little jib that we could push down close.
But that a prompter could fit on.
Strong enough for that. Yeah.
So if anybody knows of something that we're missing, please let us know. We're really trying to figure out how to
Or
solve this.
also too, like the difference between the Sockler and the prompter people is if you do use the Sockler at its lowest point, we don't have a ball jointed fluid head. So like unfortunately our floors are super not level, and sometimes you set up a shot and it's like just tilted, and when it's at its lowest level, the piston has gone down through the base of the tripod, so you can't lift one leg up and lift another down and level it out, where the prompter people has that ball joint where you can loosen it and then you can get it perfectly level with the level on it, or you can use the grid on the camera to match it with the table or whatever. So that's also a difference where like if all of that, like you were saying, Tyler, if all of that was in one, that would also be amazing. Yeah. But I'm guessing that if we're going to add a ball joint, some kind of ball joint contraption to the Sockler, we're only adding to that problem of not being able to get it low enough.
Let's hop over to Unreal. Morgan, I'd like to cut to you, and let's talk about, I just took a picture of the set. Let's talk a little bit about the set, some of the optimizations we did, some of the things we tried with the outside and stuff like that. I can also show the exterior shot, or the wide shot as well.
Yeah, so on this one, we ended up just totally resetting our Unreal computers before the shoot. So we have 6 computers to run our 6 cameras, and so we ended up just wiping and starting them completely over because we had some like corruption problems with Unreal and things like that. So what I've done now is created kind of one big giant Unreal project that has all of the architectural models and everything that we've purchased in Unreal so far, and put them into one big kind of set or
I guess
map.
You can kind of see that.
I just want to
circle things
on the left. So that gives us flexibility to be able to pull different assets from the different sets. Maybe that's a book or a plant or things like that.
Which is super cool, by the way. Very, very cool.
Yeah, it's super helpful. With this set, this is one of the very early models that we purchased. And so it's built for Unreal Engine 4, not Unreal Engine 5. And we're using 5.2 currently. And with this, we had to do what's called baked lighting. So all the lighting is very static. It takes about 45 minutes for it to do all that. And the way I describe it is kind of like Photoshop with layers. So it looks at all your different lighting sources that we have here, like the sun. You can kind of see that on the right with the windows. There's some rectangular lights and all that. And it takes all that and then spits out like a layer of lighting. And that's what you're seeing on the floor with the windows and what you're seeing on the back wall there. What that means is you cannot change it dynamically. So we can't use plugins like Ultra Dynamic Sky or things like that to let us kind of manipulate how the lighting and the shadows look in real time. So that's a little unfortunate that we can't do that. What it does allow us to do is get really good performance. So I was getting about 70 frames a second. We shoot at 2997 frames here. So that was plenty of frames for us to be able to do Exebo or move the cameras and everything. So everything performed really well for camera movement and things like that. You can see here the final shot. Something we did do different is this set uses a HDRI, which is just a still image. We ended up going out and shooting some video at a local park here in town, and that's what you're seeing outside the windows there. It's very subtle, but the trees are kind of moving. And the way we did that was I brought it into Unreal Engine as an input. We're using the DeckLink 8K Pro cards from Blackmagic. So I'm using one of the, that card can be for, the 4 inputs can also be outputs. So output number 4 is our background, and input number 1 was where I was sitting in the video, which was just a Apple Mac Mini playing it out over OBS.
You can kind of see it there. I kind of drew because I just want to draw on things, but yeah, you can see it there. It turned out really good. I mean, there's probably some tweaks we're going to do on that, but Morgan, way to go to figure that out, because it's spanning that across the Unreal system. We haven't even had a chance to really. All I know is that you figured out how to do it, but I actually don't know any details about how that worked at all. That's awesome.
The main thing was you have to feed the same input to every machine could see that window. So
Right.
that's where we need, once again, which Blackmagic has announced, the 80 by 80, just so that we can have all that
Hey, there's our phone.
be inputted.
Maybe that's one of you listeners giving us a
there we
call.
go.
That
That'd be
seems to happen often.
This would be amazing.
Well, they work that
We're
way.
That would be so
getting-
funny. Hey, by the way,
Telephone.
for those of you who are recognizing this set, I'm a nerd and I want to do this. You've seen this set because you guys subscribe, you like, you comment, and you have watched episode 1 and episode 6 of the debrief. Those are 2 episodes where we've also used this set, but this is just a different way. This has been probably the happiest we've been with it.
Yeah. Way to go, Morgan. That's a lot of optimization you did. And that's going to lead us right into the Gazebo. So something that I've spent a lot of money and really wanted to have is these motion shots, right? So getting this movement. So we've got Gazebo here. We've got talk a little bit about the plate, Morgan, that you got made and what about that.
Well, we'd met these the Gazebo at NAB this past year, and they'd never really thought of the use case of a studio camera like this. So took a little bit, but they were able to make a custom mounting plate, which really helped support the weight of the camera and really make it kind of stable for our thing. You see a Vibe Mars on top of there. It doesn't need the Vibe Mars system. This is completely independent of that. We just put that on there, I guess, because we were taking camera
Yeah,
one.
in fact,
to do
we
that.
rerouted the Ethernet cable that goes to Vive Mars because Morgan is a genius and he has a switch on the other side. So instead of having to run cables all the way from the control room over there and like switch them in the rack, there's actually a switch on the other side. So like a panel. So all we had to do was take one, swap
just
it into
patch it.
3, and then take that out of the Vive and then put it into the Gazebo. And then we were talking to the Gazebo with our computers.
And the main thing is Gazebo is direct. So it's feeding all of the motor information directly into Unreal Engine. So you don't have to worry about blocking any of the tracking, like with lights or anything like that, or if somebody walks in front of it, it's going to hold up.
It's essentially a robot. It's, yeah.
Yeah, and then you can kind of do keyframing,
Yep.
and Jay's able to do that all from a web browser control, which is really nice to
Yep,
have.
just typing in the IP address that shows up on the actual Gazebo unit itself, and then it comes up with a really cool, really nice UI that you're able to set keyframes, set the speed, or you can either set the speed or set the time that you want between keyframes, and you can adjust it. You can do. It's really awesome because you can point it at your subject and you can do it in increments. So you can either do it in, I don't know exactly what the increments are, but it's 5, 1, and 0.01. So 1 will move like this far, and then like 5 will move like this far, and then like 0.1 is like just barely micro adjustments. So it's honestly awesome because sometimes even when we're not using it for movement because we're using a plate, it's like, hey, guess what? I need to reframe that camera, and I don't have to go in there and grab the tripod, loosen it, and do it. I can just click these buttons, and I can frame it up even in the middle of filming when none of us can go in there.
Yeah, while we were shooting, so they would say, "Hey, Tyler, stay off of camera 3," and then you'd go in there and adjust headroom or whatever,
Right.
Or the the points, and then they'd be okay, done. You can use it now, and I would probably immediately cut to it. But
It does make noise, though. That is
Yes.
what we found. It
Yeah.
does have some level of noise that
Motor noise.
can be adjusted up or down.
This is the first time that we've really dealt with the motor having a ominous vibration sound.
Yeah.
And it really reverberated throughout the entire unit because the motor is attached to the base, which is where the actual slider arms that it moves along was. So it took me a minute to figure out where that was, and it was really loud at one point, and that's because and that's because they have feet on the bottom,
Little screw
and and there's
adjustable feet.
just like if most people have probably seen this with a tripod or something, but like if you haven't, you're not familiar, you have a table, it has a little spinny things on the bottom so you can make it not wobble. Basically it's that, and I had to remove those completely, put them in a bag and put them back in the closet because they were rattling, and it was really bad at first. But we're still learning about the Gazebo. We really haven't completely done a deep dive.
Right.
It's a really fun and awesome product, and we're excited about the future, about other Gazebo products too. But we won't go into that.
And this is the 50 to 100 Sigma lens on here, and
Which is heavy.
It's heavy,
Very.
And then this camera's heavy, and then we got this thing on top. So we have a lot of things happening on it that Also, it's more straight than the picture I took with my iPhone real quick. It looks really cattywampus kind of thing, but it's not quite that bad.
And you should have seen it before we got that plate. It was very cattywampus. It's so much, yes. So much, in fact, Tyler had to go next door to the machine shop and have them cut him one out of metal.
That's hilarious. So thanks, Gazebo, for... I mean, this is an awesome plate. It even has a little tiny Allen wrench right up here in the top that's like integrated into it. I mean, it's super cool.
And it was a one-off.
It's a one-off. It's like, are you kidding me? A two-off, right?
Yeah,
we have two of them. But thank you, Gazebo. Super cool. And they have an e-jib coming out, and it looks amazing.
I guess we're going to talk about it. That's what I said we would.
I know. Well, it's yeah, that's all we'll say. But it looks really cool. Yeah.
One thing about Gazebo, too, is I don't know if you were going to say this, because we haven't talked about them much, but when Morgan and I have a question, I don't hear Morgan saying, I'm going to send them an email, or I don't hear Morgan saying, I'm going to call them. I hear Morgan saying, I'm going to go to their Discord,
right,
and I'm going to put it in the chat, and then they're extremely responsive and really awesome. So I really think that's a really cool way to interact. I mean, it's just a total nerd thing, and it's amazing, because that's how basically that's how my entire friends group stays in contact. So being able to do something like that and being able to contact them about the product that you're using from them and have them respond that way seems like it's a really cool way to do things.
Agreed. Hey, just real quick, two last things. This was just a shot that is not the camera. This is Isaac doing a little shot there, but I thought this was cool because it does really show some spill happening on her hair. And so just so you guys know what I was having to do, this was the hardest. This hair color was really challenging because it was really reflecting. And so here's the actual green, but you can still see some reflection of that. Not quite as bad, but it's still in there. And so I was using a lot of flare adjustment and the light warm, playing with that, but it didn't do the same awesomeness of like just turning down and it's done. So I did have to kind of wiggle around the skin tones and all of that to get it right. And I think we got there, but it certainly took a little effort. And then I ended up essentially embracing a harder rim light on that side. That doesn't actually make sense when you look at the room, but I will say I think it's pleasing looking. It's clearly lit, but I still feel like it looks like it's in the environment. But that is a thing that I ended up doing by putting a big old rim light right here. That is a change. Oh my gosh, I'm so addicted to the iPad being able to annotate. Oh my gosh,
so funny.
Yeah, so that's super cool. And then last thing I've got is we had a lot of fun and we did a picture. So Emma had mentioned like, hey, we should do like a group photo or whatever. So here's the whole team and her team all together. This is what it takes to have one person on camera pull it off. So an amazing team. You guys are great, and I think that's cool. So we took this. I have a little Fuji little like Polaroid printer kind of thing. So I took that real quick and printed it, and then gave them when they left 2 little Polaroids. One hilarious thing is the Polaroid, for whatever reason, made that green be absolutely blue. It's very funny. It's like, that is not green at all. But anyway, retro.
You didn't. You don't have the other picture, do you? Because we were all taking the picture, and we were like,
cut off of me for a second, and I can get that for you.
We were like, it's all green, and we want to show what the environment looks like, which like kind of breaks the brain when you think about it because it doesn't exist. So the green makes sense. But what we did was, I don't know if you're cut to it or not, but Andre spun it around. We had the 77-inch monitors in there.
I don't think I've got it easy where I can show it. It looks like I didn't copy it over, so
all good.
I don't.
But what we did was Andre spun the camera around, pointed it at the TV, and then we all looked at camera 3, which was the camera that was actually in the studio recording her. So we all looked in the camera on the TV. It was really fun.
One last hospitality thing there. Auntie Anne is an author. She has several books, and we were trying to find them here in town so we could have them for, around the studio. And no one had the books. We're like, what are we going to have to order them? So we've determined that anytime we find out that an author is somebody's an author, we're just going to go ahead and get their books and have them here. So in case they want to show them, or we can get them to sign them and that sort of thing. But
well, in taking that just a slight step further, we probably need to also take it and scan because if we had the spine and the front, then Morgan, you probably could have put that in Unreal, right?
Yeah. It would have translated into Unreal Engine. pretty easily.
Yeah, it turns out it's very easy to find the front of the books, but not the spines of the books.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it was like, oh, because that'd be cool to have that on the shelf. We've done that with another client, a couple of clients actually,
Yeah.
where Morgan's taken it, put the book in, made it look like it's there. Okay. Anything else anybody needs to mention on this? It was a lot of fun. I guess 10 or 11 episodes by the time we did the trailer and the intro and all of that.
Yep.
So it was really great. Super fun. Thanks for taking the time to watch these debriefs.
I think I'll do a final call to action. If you've made it this far and you're not subscribed, I don't know why. Please subscribe if you like and share with your friends, especially if you guys are into any sort of production, but especially virtual production. We love talking about this. We're going to continue. I know we haven't done as many episodes as we have. We were kind of cranking out a few, and then we have like a sort of gap in between some, but that's because we've been extremely busy, doing all of this. So there's a ton more to come.
There's so many debriefs we've not actually recorded.
No doubt. We have a lot of things to talk about. So we appreciate all of you, and peace.
Yeah.
Let's all dramatically turn around. And
Yes, I'm down. Here we go. See ya. Peace. Peace. See you, Cammy. Bye.
Amy ran away. No.